issues that actually concern them. I was thinking the other day about how if they're having a fundraiser for firemen's wives, you don't have people go up in the fundraiser and say, well, we need to have, why are we having a fundraiser for the wives? Why don't we need to just have it for all people?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, oftentimes as black people, we tend to allow people to minimize our issues instead of speaking for things that concern us. You could go online and check this out. The Center for Juvenile Criminal Justice just released a report in regards to police brutality, and they found that every 28 hours there's a black person in America that dies at the hands of law enforcement. That is called extrajudicial. And what that means is these are deaths that's outside of the courtroom. You know, they're illegal deaths. And that's almost every day you have a black person in America that's dying at the hands of law enforcement. Another statistic that they have is black men between the ages of 19 and 25 are at the highest risk of being shot by police. Black youth are at the highest risk of dying at the hands of police more than any other age group or racial group in this country. Another thing that I've been thinking about is, you know, with this issue that's concerning us, you have people that deal with a lot of deflection. You know, as soon as you say something that's concerning, you know, your people or what's in your interest, you have people that want to take attention away from something that is specifically dealing with you. For example, when we talk about, you know, we need to be a lot more conscious of what's going on in our communities. You have people talking about, well, what about the black on black crime, right? Well, in comparison to what? The level of the black on black crime, what are we comparing that to? The white on white crime? Because if you want to start comparing that, there's nothing in comparison to that. Matter of fact, you have a segment of their population that's so well at killing that they've created a whole genre of film that shows you artful ways of killing. And that's nothing black people created. So if we want to talk about black on black crime, then we have to look at what are the comparisons. And if we want to go into black on black crime, which is often a problem amongst our people, we got to think about what are the conditions that create these crimes. You know, what is the poverty? What is the, where are they getting these guns from? Because I don't know nobody that's making no guns. Nor do they have these 3D printers that people are you familiar with that? You have people who have these 3D printers now where they're able to create and assemble guns without serial numbers. I don't know no brothers that got no technology like that. You understand what I'm saying? So if we're going to talk about black on black crime, we need to also examine the conditions that create these crimes in our community and not try to minimize it and seem like the people who are hurting each other are also hurt. You know, a lot of times we see our people who are victimizing each other, we're victims being victimized. And if you study, for example, I wanted to bring this book. Anybody familiar with this? You've seen this book before?
I've seen it, haven't read it.
Okay. It has to be edited and updated now though, because it came out a few years ago and we need to add, you know, some more lynchings in this book. This book chronicles news articles of lynchings from the 1800s all the way up into the 70s. These are words from publications. This is not somebody that's writing this book themselves. All they did is photograph articles and put them in the book in regards to incidences of violence in this country. So I say all of that to say, what we see that's been happening amongst our people, primarily young black males and young black females, is not nothing new. This is something that's been going on for hundreds of years. Those of us that came over here on those ships in 1555, 221 years before the country was founded in 1776, that's over 6 generations of terrorism against our people. And it's in the history books. This is nothing that I'm saying that's not an actual fact. And this is before the country was founded. So now, 1776, you look at that all the way into 1865, where you have, you know, slavery so-called ending. That 89 years was legal terrorism. Our people who were slaves and had ancestors that were slaves were victims of that by law. we were slaves by law. We were owned, you know, by people. And then you look at 1865 all the way up to 1965, you have a whole another 100 years of segregation. So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, this country's only 238 years old. Out of that 238 years, black people have been terrorized 189 of those years. You can just study history. They may not tell you, what grade you in? Word? They tell you any of this stuff in school? Well, it's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility to find that out about yourself and your people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Another reason why we're here is because we are showing publicly that we take responsibility for ourselves. We're not relying on somebody to speak for us. We're not relying on somebody to take care of us, or it's kind of like being in an abusive relationship. Black people have been in a dysfunctional, abusive relationship in this country since we've been here. By law, we've been devalued. First as slaves, and then secondly, segregated. You know what segregation is. You studied that in school.
Well, I don't know about it.
So have you seen the time period in this country where you had white drinking fountains and you had black drinking fountains? And if you was black, you could not drink out of that white drinking fountain. Have you seen pictures like that?
Yeah, they showed us in class.
Okay, well, that wasn't that long ago. You probably have grandparents right now that saw that with their own eyes, that lived there. So, this is not ancient history. You understand? It's not ancient history, and it's important that we're mindful of who we are and what we need to do for ourselves, and not rely on anybody to do it for us. Like I said, out of the 238 years we have been in this country, 189 of those years we were not allowed to participate in American society. 89 years we were slaves. Another 100 years we were segregated. We just started to get certain laws and freedoms in the 1960s. So if you look at that, 189, 238, that's over 75% of the time we've been in this country. We've been looked at as less than, as thugs, as savages, as not equal to the dominant society. And when I say the dominant society, I'm talking about the white status quo. We've not been looked at as equal. So we're not here to say Black Lives Matter to convince nobody. One of the things we're here for is to make sure that the public knows that we have people in this community who care about themselves. We're not quiet about that. We're not apologizing about that. If I say that I'm a black man, I'm not saying it with my head down. I'm proud of that. And there are people, especially our young, who need to have the same type of consideration for themselves, because we're killing each other. And we learn from the greatest killers on the planet. And that is a fact. So with that said, I just want to open it up for somebody else. You just want to share what you want to share, because we don't really have forums like this too often. You know, in this city we have a very large religious community, you know, and with incidents like this, people tend to want to be quiet and just pray about it. That's why we didn't open up in no prayer, and we're not closing in no prayer. Because in the Bible it says faith without works is dead. And obviously we are a people of faith, and we've had a lot of faith, and we continue to have a lot of faith, but we need some work.
Right.
Straight up work.
Yes.
To go along with that faith. And this is what we represent. We represent that work. And that's what we do. So somebody else, anyone want to share what they feel, share what they think?
I support what you were saying. You know, just watching the news and just listening to different people, you know, different people critique, you know, all the protests and the rallies that's going on. And one of the main reasons why they critique it is say, why are we out here? You know, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Is it police brutality or racial profiling? I mean, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be no one specific reason why we're doing it. I mean, the main reason we out here is, like you just said, to become unified, to show that we're out here to speak. We do have a voice out here. We do have people that actually care and that's trying to stand up. And, you know, whether it was because of an unfortunate event, we need to take this right here, how we just, you know, we have, what, 10, 12 people that's out here? I mean, we need to just take charge, take initiative, and just, you know, just keep it moving. And people are going to follow. People are gonna follow. And you know, it's like and I respect the part about this isn't a religious thing, you know, because religion often separates many people. Okay, I'm Christian, you know, I'm this denomination, he's this denomination, I'm Islam, I'm Buddhist. That right there creates separation as well, but at the end of the day, we're all human. You know, and that's what we need to be fighting for. We're human, all lives do matter, but right now we're speaking for black lives because so often it's overlooked. And you know, that's why I'm here.
I just wanted to add on another thing too. I appreciate Councilman Walker as well as Councilwoman Brandon being here, because one thing that you will notice is just generally they are oftentimes the biggest targets of people who want to keep things the way that they are, who are comfortable and who are satisfied. And the fact that they're here right now, fearlessly, standing with us in unity says a lot, because they don't have to be, you know? And that is something that is also important in regards to speaking for people who are visibly and actively showing that they represent change in this community. Because there's a lot of people who don't want to see anything like that happen.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a lot of honest lies that go on that's said about, you know, the council members. That gives us a bad perception of, you know, what you are doing. So it's a beautiful thing to see you out here, out here in this cold with us.
Well, you know, the other thing too is, and I was well into my 40s when I really learned the power behind it, is once you take the risk and use your voice one time, it starts to become easier. And it becomes easier and easier and easier. It's scary the first time. When I first got involved in women and children's rights, I mean, I was whispering, and now I shout it out, because you gotta just be a little bit brave, and the first time you speak up and use your voice, it gets easier and easier, and you'll be able to do it over and over and get louder and louder. And it's not about being angry, and it's not about being violent. It's about the fact that we have a voice. Everyone has a voice, and your voice needs to be heard. But if you don't speak up, it's going to stay the same way that it is. In this city, we live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. This city should be thriving. But it's because there's a small group of people that want to be big fish in a dirty little pond, and they are keeping it down. And it's too bad, because we can't. I mean, you can ask Mr. Walker, you think twice every day about running for office because of the way you get treated. But somebody's got to stand up, but you guys got to start standing up with us too. And you got to sing your voice out, whether you're gay, whether you're black, whether you're a woman. You got to let your voice be heard. You got to stand up. And you kids